but I want to talk to this person really quick. This is Lily, pronoun she here, calling in all the way from the UK, who wants to talk for a second about Hinduism. Lily, you are on AXP with Forrest and Justin. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Never had a bad day.
Doing well.
Yes, so I just wanted to bring up the topic of Hinduism because I watch a lot of your live streams and I noticed that it tends to revolve around Christianity or sometimes Islam, and I just wanted to talk about something different today, if that's okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, so my question is, I want to talk about is I hear a lot of people in my circle, because I was raised in a Hindu family, and they often say that, oh yeah, Hinduism is much better than like Christianity or Islam, because they don't believe that like you'll go to hell if you don't believe in a Hindu god, for example. So would you agree that Hinduism is more ethical per se because of that?
Well, I think religion, like in terms of whether or not it's dangerous, is kind of on a scale. I think some religions are more dangerous than others. So if I had to compare Christianity or Islam or Hinduism, I would put Hinduism below Christianity and Islam on the scale of danger. But certainly I think, Hinduism has its flaws. I mean, we would definitely credit the caste system to the whole reincarnation model in Hinduism, which hasn't really done a whole lot of good when you tell people that, you're born into poverty and you'll always be in poverty because this is your lot in life because what was in your past life. I think that could be a little bit dangerous. But, other than that, I don't have a whole lot of expertise in Hinduism. So perhaps maybe you can share something with us that we don't know.
Okay, so I do agree with that, and that was one of the reasons why I deconstructed from the religion. But something that a lot of people around me bring up is that because Hinduism isn't actually one religion, it's a branch of religion. So a lot of the beliefs can be really diverse and really confusing. So if I bring up that, a flaw of Hinduism is the caste system, or another flaw of it is the misogyny, then a lot of Hindus will be like, but we don't believe in that because we're from this sect, or we don't believe in that because we're from this sect. So it becomes really difficult to talk about Hinduism in that sense compared to Christianity or Islam that are more organized.
So I would disagree that Christianity is more organized, because what you just described is exactly the problem that we have talking to Christians, is that there's over 40,000 denominations of Christianity. And I guarantee, no matter, like I get comments all the time saying like, you misrepresented, the Christian beliefs when you talked about the sexism, when you talked about the racism, when you talked about the tendency towards fascism, when you talked about all these problems, you misrepresented it. And I'm like, I promise you, I have talked to somebody who is more extreme than whatever caricature you think that I was, creating here. Like that, I promise that's how it works, especially here in the States. Like, there's double-digit churches within walking distance of my house. There's a church on every freaking corner. It's because if you don't like the precise socio-political views of this pastor, you go 10 steps down the road, you find another one that's a little bit closer to you, and then that's the right one. That's the actual revealed word of God. You know what I mean? So, like, it sounds like Hinduism and Christianity have a lot of the same issues in that respect, where it's different sects and different denominations and different interpretations. If you ask two people who believe in these things what a certain verse means, you're going to get four different opinions. It sounds like they're very similar there. The issue that I have is that even in its most benign state, religions of all kinds, things that rely on magical thinking, things that talk about things that aren't actually scientifically demonstrable, things that rely on the belief in some creature, whatever it may be, an all-powerful god or like lesser demigods or whatever, that are capriciously organizing the world around us. It's carcinogenic to like society as a whole. It destroys individuality. It destroys the potential for progress. It gives people an excuse to not make things better and to not pursue actual truth. Like, I could go on and on about it, but like the point is, I would agree with Justin that Hinduism, as far as I have understood it and as far as I see it being practiced, certainly seems a little bit more tolerant and tolerable than Christianity, especially like the more evangelical forms of Christianity does. But at the end of the day, it is still something that is relying on magical thinking. It is still something that is telling people about, forces that are outside of the laws of nature, to give them an excuse for things that they could never test and could possibly understand better. And that allows for a lot of horrible shit, as you probably know, Lily. The horrible shit that has been done in the name of Hinduism. So, like, yeah, if somebody can make you believe absurdities, they can make you commit atrocities. And that is the same issue that I have with Hinduism as I do with every other religion out there.
Okay, yeah, interesting. But something I would like to challenge with that is that when it comes to Christianity or Islam or any of the other religions, often it comes to a dispute within how they interpret a certain text. So with Christianity will be the Bible, or Islam will be the Quran. But with Hinduism, it isn't like there isn't one single text there, and a lot of different denominations of Hinduism don't even follow certain texts. For example, the denomination that my family brought me up in, I don't know anything about the Vedas or the Puranas or anything like that, all those holy books. So, and also this certain denominations of Hinduism actually rose by challenging the caste system. So in that sense, wouldn't it be a lot of the arguments that these people would make is that, oh, but my sect rose because we're challenging these bad things. Doesn't that make us good? So therefore, we don't have these kind of problems.
Yeah, the issue is that they're operating within the exact same system that allowed them to have those problems in the first place. So it's a lot like, here in America, we had this slavery that was, pretty uniquely atrocious in the world, right? And it was largely justified using the Bible. Bible believing Christians argued that the curse of Ham, I believe it is, in Genesis, allowed for the enslavement of black people because everybody from Africa, anybody with dark skin, was the descendant of Ham, and it was cursed to serve. And like, you can actually read the articles of secession, the Declaration of Secession, in places like Texas that directly say that we are leaving the United States because we want to have slaves, because that is what the God of the Bible tells us to do, and any good Christian nation would have slavery. Like, they are very adamant that slavery is a Christian system for Christian reasons. And there were also Christian abolitionists and people who used the Bible to argue against it. And today, Christians here in this country will argue all day long that Christianity is what ended slavery, and Christianity is the thing that set us free, and Christianity is this thing that made the country the better place. And it's these evil evolutionists that are pushing social Darwinism and racism and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the actual only argument that set them apart is, I like this interpretation of the same book. I don't read that passage the same way as you, or I don't read that passage at all. The same Christians who are going to talk about how Jesus loves everybody, and therefore, LGBT people are welcome at my church because they're made in the image of God, because that's what it says in this part of the Bible, are right down the road from this other church that says, no, Leviticus is very clear that homosexuality is an abomination, and LGBT people should not have the right to marry, or even possibly the right to exist. We have people in this country that advocate for the death penalty for homosexuality because of the exact same Bible that the people who are more progressive, because they want more offerings, get. So that's my big issue with it. If you're going to say, I have this one book, and it told me at one time to have this awful caste system and subjugate people based on the circumstances of their birth. Well, I have the same fucking book, and I'm saying that's wrong, and that makes me better. At the end of the day, all you have is dogma. You have dogma that's more palatable, or you have dogma that's less palatable. At the end of the day, it's dogma. I would prefer reason and evidence. I would prefer a morality and a system that is, for lack of a better word, intelligently designed. I would prefer something where we actually see what's best for people, not what's written in some, Bronze Age sex manual. That's my thing. So if anybody's going to try to say I'm a better fill in the blank religion because I interpret the same freaking book differently than these other assholes over here, I appreciate them, but I don't respect that very much at all.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So just to articulate it in a way that I could understand it, would you say that if someone was making their religion claim the responsibility of having good actions, they should also claim responsibility for any bad things associated with that religion?
I don't know about personal responsibility, but at least be honest about that and like how it's worked and like not. The thing that I have that I think is really important is that, and I'm not the first person to say this, is that there is not a single good thing that can be done in the name of religion that could not also just be done by a good person who's an atheist, just because it's a good thing to do. But there are plenty of horrific things that are done and have been done in the name of religion that no secular person would ever do in their right mind. And so like, I don't know if you have to like claim personal responsibility for every bad thing your religion's ever done. I think you have to treat it like you would a weapon and just be very, very careful with this thing and not treat it like a toy and realize that it may do some benefit for you. It may give you some comfort. It may give you some satisfaction. It may make you feel at peace. It may make you feel wanted. It may make you feel like you have some sense of belonging. It may give you community. It may help you through addiction. It may help you through incarceration. It may do all of these things that people talk about religion doing fine. But you can absolutely get those things from other places without the baggage of the dogma. And I think you should. And if you choose not to, you need to be very, very, very freaking careful. That's what I don't think anybody needs to be walking around feeling bad, personally responsible for every atrocious thing that's been done in the name of their religion, unless they were a part of it. But I do think they need to be cognizant of it and be very, very, very careful to not let themselves slip into that kind of shit, because it is very easy to do when you are chained by dogma. I've been talking a lot. Justin, do you have anything that I haven't spouted about so far? I've been over here rambling.
So I agree, and actually, I think Lily agrees with us as well. My understanding that Lily's an atheist or agnostic. Did we read that correctly?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, kind of to frame the conversation, I think we do agree with you on most of what's been said. I think all of these religions have issues with them. Not that you can't get something good from a religion, but I think that, like, for example, for me to give an opinion on Islam, my opinion is not going to hold as much weight as somebody like someone who grew up in the Islamic culture. Just like my opinion on Hinduism is not going to carry as much weight as someone like you who grew up in it. But I do try to speak on the things that I know authoritatively, which is the Christian religion. So I can tell you all kinds of horrific things in that holy book and in the history of that, but I'm afraid that I have to lean on the experts for Hinduism.